Explaining a subtle touch therapy can be tough. Here's what to do when you try to explain your modality and the person still doesn't get it. Welcome to Do It With Intention, the podcast for massage and bodywork therapists. I'm your host, Mindy Totten, a mentor and coach for bodyworkers who want to turn their passion for the work they do into successful businesses that they love, all without burning out or selling out. For the last 16 plus years, I've created a successful 6-figure craniosacral therapy practice in a small city in coastal North Carolina. Over those years, I have met so many skilled, big-hearted therapists who were struggling to make their bodywork businesses work for them. Not because they weren't terrific therapists, but because they didn't know how to make the business side of their practices work. It became my mission to help other massage and bodywork therapists build practices that support not only your soul, but also your bottom line. On the Do It With Intention podcast, we dive deep into what it takes to build and to sustain a profitable massage or bodywork business. We have honest conversations about what really works and what doesn't as you create the ideal practice for you. After all, you do great work in the world, and you deserve to make a great living doing it. But you've got to be intentional about it, not only in your modality, but in your business too. That's how bodyworkers do it with intention. Hey there. Welcome back to the Do It With Intention podcast. I'm your host, Mindy Totten, and we are smack dab in the middle of our series on what to do in sticky situations. These are situations that come up for almost every body worker at some point in their career, but that we might not have gotten that much training around in bodywork school. Today's sticky situation is when you're trying to explain your modality and the person still doesn't get it. And this came up for a student inside the Bodywork project. She is a craniosacral practitioner, and a potential client was asking her about the work that she did. And so she went into it and explained what craniosacral therapy was and felt really good about her answer about explaining these subtle touch therapies that can be really kind of tough to explain. And after she got done, the person looked at her and said, "Oh, like Reiki, right? I had a friend who had Reiki once." And the student didn't know what to say. We are body workers. And so we have such a fine understanding of the delicate differences between these modalities. So in my mind, I'd be like, dude, no, it's not anything like Reiki, right? What, did you just hear what I said? But that's not what you can say. So what do you do? What can you say? Well, here's what not to do. The first thing not to do is what I just said. Don't get defensive. Don't get upset about it. And I want to encourage you never, never, never to diss another modality. We body workers really need to band together and lift one another up. I would never, ever say that one modality is better than another modality. Different modalities are appropriate and beneficial for different people and different conditions and different times in their lives. There is no room in the bodywork industry for us to try to tear one another down. So don't ever diss another modality. Don't be like, no, it's not like whatever. It's not like that. Ours is, what I do is way better than that. What my modality has been proven to do this is nothing like that. Don't get defensive. Here's what I invite you to try instead. Try building on any similarities. So in this case, the person was explaining craniosacral therapy. The person said, "Oh, it's like Reiki, right?" Here's something that you can say. This is what I do, because often Reiki and craniosacral therapy are confused in the minds of folks who don't really know all the subtle differences between the modalities. So I will take what I know about Reiki and I will build on those similarities and then explain the differences. So here's what I say. For example, they'll say, "Oh, like Reiki, right?" And I'll say, "Well, no, not exactly like Reiki." And then I say, "I've only had a couple of classes in Reiki, so I can't really speak to what it is with any authority. But from my understanding, right? So then I have not dissed Reiki. I have built it up. I have explained clearly what my experience with Reiki is. Then I'll say what the similarities and differences are. From my understanding, it's very similar because it's a very, very gentle, light touch therapy. In craniosacral therapy, we are always engaged with the tissues and listening for the rhythm of the cerebrospinal fluid, right? And then people will be like, oh, what is that? And so then you can go into that a little bit more. So build on what the similarities are and then explain your differences between your modality and the other modality that they think they know what it is. And here's the thing that's really good about this is it gives you the opportunity to really dig in and say, hey, what is the difference between my modality and this one and that one and the other? What makes the modality that I practice unique? What about me practicing it is unique? And really get a chance to learn not only more about your own modality, but about others. Another thing that I sometimes say, so, they'll be like, oh, I did XYZ modality once. It sounds like that. I'll say, you know what? I'm not familiar with XYZ modality. Can you explain it to me a little bit? And then they'll talk about it and I'll be able to say, oh, it does sound similar. And here are some of the differences. Here's, what your modality can help with. But do your best not to get frustrated, not to get defensive, not to get emotional around it. And remember that this could be a really wonderful learning opportunity, not only for you, but also for the person who you're talking with. Okay, that's it for this week's sticky situation. On our next episode, we get into, I hate this, that we even have to deal with this at all, but what to do when a client uses foul language or slurs. And we'll talk about that on the next episode. Until then, keep your head up, keep doing your beautiful work, and keep doing it with intention. Thanks for coming on this journey with me today. I know what it takes to find time to fit something like a podcast into your busy day, and I so appreciate that you tuned in and listened all the way to the end. We've got all the links from today's episode in the show notes that you can find over at mindytotten.com/podcast. That's Mindy Totten, TOTTEN.com/podcast. If you really enjoyed today's conversation, I'd love for you to take a quick moment to leave a review on Apple Podcasts. And make sure that you subscribe so that you can download each episode as soon as it comes out. That'll help us get this podcast in front of more massage and body workers like you so that we can all work together to make the world a touch kinder. Okay, that's it for today. It's my pleasure and my privilege to be with you on this journey. I'll see you next week, same place, same time. Until then, get out there and do it with intention.